It has been said that the shortest distance between humanity and the truth is a story. I believe that it stands to reason then that a good story, I mean a really good story, has the power to reveal truth about the mystery which we call God. So I'd like to tell you what I think is a good story. It's a story which I have told many times because, like all good stories, it is well worth repeating. The first time I heard this story was from a seminary professor, and since then I've heard this story attributed to Marcus Borg, and Borg actually attributed it to Parker Palmer. And so, like many good truth-revealing stories, its origins are somewhat elusive. This story is about a little girl, and this little girl is 4 years old, and her mom is expecting a baby, and mom tells the little girl that the baby is coming to them as a gift from God, and that this gift from God will be a new member of their little family. Well, sure enough, the baby arrives. A boy is born. And the parents are slightly worried because, nobody really knows how a 4-year-old will react, especially as an only child, to having a new baby in the house. So the parents are reading their parenting books, and they're trying to figure out ways to assimilate this new person into their family without having their little 4-year-old suddenly feel shunted to one side. Well, it turns out that this little 4-year-old girl has an unusual request, a request which her parents don't quite know how to deal with. For some unknown reason, this little girl keeps asking to have some time in the nursery alone with her new baby brother. The parents are slightly worried because they've heard some horror stories about what 4-year-olds can do to newborn babies. And they don't want to leave this little girl alone with their precious newborn. And then they remember the baby monitor. And so they figure they'll set this baby monitor up so that they can listen from a distance and know what's happening. And once everything is carefully set up, the little girl goes into the nursery with her parents lurking in the background, listening to the baby monitor. Now on the monitor, the parents hear the footsteps of their daughter going over to the baby's crib. And the parents are very, very nervous. And then they hear the little girl, who has by now leaned into the newborn's crib, and they hear her say to her new baby brother, "Tell me about God. I have almost forgotten. Tell me about God. I have almost forgotten." This coming Tuesday, churches all over the world will begin a month-long celebration of the season of creation, from September 1st, which is the day of creation, until St. Francis Sunday on October 4th. Our awe and wonder at the beauty of creation will be given voice in our worship celebrations. The season of creation is a relatively new liturgical season born out of our response to the concerns of so many of us about the plight of creation under the weight of human contempt and abuse of the earth and her creatures. I know that many of you are concerned about the many and various ways in which our ravenous consumption of the bounty of the earth threatens the well-being of creation. So I won't presume to preach to the choir here. Instead, I'd like to look at the many and various ways in which the divine mystery, which we call God, finds expression in, with, through, and beyond creation. Tell us about God. We have almost forgotten. For far too long, traditional Christianity has emphasized theological responses to people's desire to know about God. Lutherans and Anglicans and Protestants in general, our traditions have, for all intents and purposes, divorced the divine from creation. Yes, I know that images of a divine Father are employed to portray the mystery of the one who is the source of all reality as the Creator. But this image casts the Creator off into the distant heavens and relegates the divine to a role of distant observer, occasional interferer or meddler, and constant judge. This divorce, like all divorces, has impacted the children in ways which have allowed us to run amok, forgetting, as we do so often, to pay attention to the love which gave us birth, and how that love continues to nurture us, and in which we continue to live and move and have our being. Tell us about God. We have almost forgotten. Our ancestors' story about Moses' encounter with the divine, in which Moses recognizes the mystery in a burning bush, is another good story which reveals the truth of divinity finding expression in creation. For in truth, all bushes are burning, and indeed all ground is holy ground. It is through this ancient story that the divine mystery is revealed in creation as being itself. Tell us about God we have almost forgotten. Or as Moses puts it, if I come to the Israelites and say to them, the God of your ancestors has sent me to you, and they ask me, what is God's name? What shall I say to them? To which the essence of the burning bush responds, Yahweh. Yahweh, which is the Hebrew verb to be, and translates as I am who I am, or I shall be who I shall be. The divine mystery finds expression in, with, and through the burning bush to reveal that the divine source is the great I am, or the expression of what it means to be. Is it any wonder that this story insists that Moses hid his face, afraid to look at the Holy One? Who among us, in the presence of the divine mystery, which is, would not bow in awe and reverence before the source of all being? This kind of response is described as the very first religious impulse. Religion, the word religion, comes from the Latin verb ligare, to connect or to bond, to join together. Religare is to reconnect or to rebond or to rejoin together. The first religious impulse, the first impulse born of reconnection, is awe. Close your eyes for just a moment. Conjure in your mind's eye a vision of creation. Perhaps it's a flower, perhaps it's the sky or the stars, or perhaps it's a newborn baby staring up at you. Can you see divine mystery expressed in the wonder of creation? Congratulations. You have encountered your very own burning bush. You have been reconnected with the source of all being, with which you are one. If you're not overcome with awe at the sheer beauty and majesty of creation, then your religion is failing to reconnect you to the one who is. Perhaps we need more practice. We religious types have been preoccupied with shutting creation out of our practice of religion for far too long, and the consequences have been catastrophic. Our attempts to put the mystery in a neat little box of our own design has left us bereft of awe. I don't know about you, but I can't remember the last time a creed, a dogma, or a doctrine left me awestruck. So if awe is the first impulse, what happens after we experience the divine, after we are awestruck? I suspect that we children of divinity might just need to remember what our parents first taught us about gratitude. To respond with grace, which flows so naturally out of awe and wonder, is to practice religion which flows from the love which is divine. Now, I know that there may be some of you who might think that my being Lutheran has me falling back into the doctrine of grace. Please remember that I'm pointing beyond our doctrines here to a mystery which is beyond the beyond and beyond that also. Yes, I'm grateful to my Lutheran heritage for the gifts of the doctrine of grace, but I have long since given up the formula which posits a God who requires the justification of sinners. I'm talking here about grace as a response to the awesome experience of the divine mystery as it finds expression in, with, through, and beyond creation. Just imagine the tenderness with which we might walk upon the earth if in the flowers, the trees, the creatures, and even our sisters and brothers, we learn to experience the divine expression of being itself. I believe that this is what Julian of Norwich saw when she exclaimed, "We are not just made by God, we are made of God." Or when Sally McFaig insisted that the earth is actually God's body. Awe, which leads to grace, is the power of reconnection. Now there's a religious practice that just might heal creation as our grace-filled response to the awesome nature of the divine is expressed in, with, through, and beyond creation and moves us to actually be love in the world. So as we prepare to celebrate the season of creation, let me leave you with another story, which is good precisely because it reveals truth. One of my favorite books is Alice Walker's The Color Purple. The book takes its name from an encounter its principal characters, Celie and Shug, have while they're walking in the beauty of a purple field, speculating on the nature of God. It's that tell us about God, we have almost forgotten kind of conversation. Celie asks Shug if she thinks God is vain, to which Shug responds, "I think it pisses God off when you walk by the color purple in a field somewhere and you don't notice it." "What'd it do when it pissed off?" Celie asks. "Oh, it makes something else. People think pleasing God is all God care about, but any fool living in the world can see it always trying to please us back." "Yeah," Celie asks. "Yeah," Shug insists. "It's always making little surprises and springing them on us when we least expect it." As if she is beginning to understand, Celie asks, "You mean it want to be loved, just like the Bible say?" "Yes," Celie, Shug assures. "Everything want to be loved." Tell us about God we have almost forgotten. Every bush is burning. All ground is holy. The divine mystery which we long for finds expression in, with, through, and beyond creation. How awesome! May the one who is being itself surprise you when you least expect it. May you be awestruck, and may you have the wisdom to respond with grace, the kind of grace which flows from love. Thanks be to all that is holy. Amen.
We hope that you have found this broadcast to be of value to you at this time. To continue to offer these, we depend on the support of donors. If you wish to help to keep us going, please donate what feels right for you via Canada Helps to Holy Cross Lutheran Church, Newmarket. Peace be with you.